You can make beautiful email designs using Claude and ChatGPT, but how good are they at writing actual copy? Because you can't just ask Claude to write your entire email campaign if it doesn't actually know what good copy looks like. And after doing email marketing for over 10 years and working with over 150 e-commerce brands, I've learned that copy actually matters way more than design. In fact, some of the most highest converting emails that we've ever sent were just plain text, no design at all. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to write every element in your email and what good copy actually looks like. All right, so this is the email marketing copywriting guide. And so the first thing to understand is that the design of the email actually creates attention, and it's the copy of the email that actually gets people to take action. So design doesn't rescue bad copy. The copy must be short, skimmable, and optimized for mobile inboxes, while aligned with the brand tone and the customer's journey stage. And so there's a few different elements that are included in every single email marketing copy. That's gonna be the subject line, the preview text, the headline, subheadline, the body, and the CTA. These are gonna be in literally every single email marketing email that you ever do. And so the way that this is kind of structured is that the subject line and the preview text increase awareness, the headline and the subheadline spark interest, the body creates desire, and then the CTA instills action. And so before you write a single word of your email campaign, the first step is to do proper audience research. And so before you write anything, go read how your customers already talk. Product reviews, Reddit threads, and social comments are full of the exact phrases that they use to describe the problems that they're trying to solve. And so one of the things that we actually do when we work with a new brand is we'll actually do heavy audience research. We'll look at their website, the way that their copy is laid out on their website and their product pages. We'll look at their reviews on their product pages as well to see how their customer likes to talk. We might even look at other competitors and see what kind of language that their customers are using. And also on Amazon, we can take a look at their reviews as well to see how people are describing the issues and the problems that they're trying to solve. Number two is defining the goal, right? So you want to have one specific angle per email. You don't want to over bombard it with multiple different angles and different talking points. You just want to focus on one specific theme. Decide the one single job that this send has to do before you write, then make every line serve it. An email that tries to do three things does none of them well at all. So let's go over your subject line, right? So the subject line is the first thing that people see. And by the way, the subject line is the only thing that influences your open rates. When they see the subject line, they decide in about 2 seconds whether to open your email. If it works, they open it. And if it doesn't, the rest of your content basically gets ignored. The first step is to personalize the subject line. Number two, keep it short. I'd say 7 words on average typically works best. And number 3 is to use emojis sparingly. So I'd say that there's 3 subject line triggers. Number 1 is the curiosity gap, which is my favorite personally. It creates an information gap that the reader can only close by opening the email. Number 2 is urgency and scarcity. Urgency and scarcity introduces a deadline or limited availability. By the way, this must be genuine. Manufacturer urgency erodes trust fast. Number 3 is clear value. You want to promise a specific, tangible benefit or outcome. And by the way, this is the most reliable trigger for recurring campaigns as well. So here's some examples of some actual subject lines that I really like and I think that stand out. This first one says to you, from you, which is definitely a little intriguing because people are wondering how they wrote an email to themselves. The second one basically saying something new is coming. So it kind of sparks a little bit of curiosity into what is the upcoming item or thing or event that might be happening. This one right here says last call, free mini milk drop. So last call basically in all caps with an emoji. That definitely stands out in the inbox because the fact that there's that urgency that's instilled there. And then this one as well says this email is better than with a down pointing emoji. And then I also like the preview text here that says prove us wrong, don't open it. So it's kind of like psychologically telling them not to open the email, and that makes people want to actually open the email. So that leads me on to my next point, which is the preview text. The email preview text is the text displayed by an email client to preview the contents of an email. Most brand owners either repeat the subject line word for word or they leave it blank and let the inbox pull whatever's at the top of the email. I highly recommend always doing your own preview text. Unfortunately, for plain text emails, you can only just do a subject line, but for normal design emails, you should be able to do a subject line and then a separate preview text. A couple benefits there in terms of doing that is it increases open rates further. So an email preview text lets you add more context to your subject line, which can actually boost your email open rates. Number 2 is that it builds anticipation and sets expectations. Your email preview text can build on your subject line to pull subscribers in further and further. For example, if your subject line announces a sale, the preview text can say something like up to 60% off. So it just provides a little bit of context. Number 3 is that it enhances personalization and relevance. So email preview text feels a little bit like a note tacked onto a standard subject line, which means you can lean into that personal feeling and add a name or even relevant details based on a subscriber's action. So here's a couple different examples that I wanted to kind of go over. So this preview text, so the subject line says winter sale, hundreds of styles up to 40% off. And the preview text says plus some stories to get you out there. This one from Anthropology says our love language equals 40% off on the app. That's the subject line. And then the preview text says plus 4 more. Can you guess them all? So it instills that curiosity for the user to actually click onto the email to see, what the rest of them are, right? This one from Wedding Wire says, favorite first dance songs as a subject line, and then has some personalization. So it actually calls out the person's first name saying, hey, Matt, we hope you enjoy this week's wedding inspiration. So someone seeing their own name in the inbox, that's going to definitely get them to click and, show interest in the email 100%. By the way, if you use Claude or ChatGPT to write your emails, a lot of times it'll say generic stuff, and that's because you fed it generic inputs. That's why I made a 126-page document that covers everything I've learned from email marketing over the last 10 years. I call it the Email Revenue Playbook. You can download it and drop it straight into Claude or ChatGPT, and now it's actually writing off of proven angles, frameworks, and examples behind $100 million in email marketing revenue for e-commerce brands. It's completely free, and the link to go grab it is in the description down below. So next is the headline, and the headline is the first thing they read once they open it, right? It's the very first big text that comes up at the very top of the email, and it has one job and one job only, and that's to pay off the subject line before they decide to keep reading or archive the email completely. So number 1, we want to pay off the subject line. So same promise, no bait and switch. Number 2 is we want to say one thing, just one specific thing. We don't want to cram 3 ideas into the top of the email. We just want to focus on one thing at a time. Number 3 is that we want to keep it very short and punchy. We don't want to make the text too crowded or too long because that's going to distract users and make them lose interest. Again, we want to keep it very, very punchy. So here's a few different examples of some emails that kind of cover that. So with this one, it says, which came first, the chicken or the egg as a subheadline. So which came first is the headline, and you can tell that this is at the very top of the email. It's nice and big, it's super punchy, and it's just 3 words basically. This one from Coracal says, save before it melts away. Very, very quick and to the point, no other details needed. And then this one from Beach Ball says, terrific game day. So as you can see, it's very short, very punchy, straight to the point, and basically pays off the subject line and is congruent with the subject line. There's no bait and switch there. Second is the subheadline. So the subheadline is actually the bridge between the headline and the body copy. The headline actually stops them, and the subheadline gives them a reason to keep going. So with the subheadline, there's 4 things that we want to focus on, and that starts with number 1, expanding the promise, right? We want to add the proof or the how behind the headline itself. Number 2 is that we want to answer, why should I care? Make it about the result, not about your product. Number 3, we want to keep it to just one thought, just a line or 2, not a whole paragraph. Number 4, and probably the most important thing to pay attention to with subheadlines, is that we should not be restating the headline. So if it could swap places with the headline, then it's better to just rewrite it. So here's a couple examples of what not to do and what you should be doing. So this is restating the headline. So the headline is the serum that clears up summer breakouts, and then the subheadline is our best serum for summer skin. That basically piggybacks off the headline, and you can easily switch places with each other. Now what you want to do is you want to expand on the headline and just provide a little bit more context. So the headline right here says the serum that clears up summer breakouts. What you want to say is 1.8% salicylic clears the sweat and heat breakouts summer causes without drying you out. So again, it's not repeating the headline or like rewording it anyway. It's just expanding on it, providing a little bit more context, and it gives the user more of a reason to read, the next line, and that kind of gradually leads into the body copy. Just a few different examples here. So this one's from Yay Nuts. The headline is short list, big flavor, and then you can see the subheadline expands on it. It says, tired of playing spot the chemical on ingredient labels? We totally get it, and we're over it too. And then we have a CTA, which I'll get into. And then the next one from Fitzgerald Conservatory. The headline is your welcome offer expires, and then the subheadline is don't miss your chance to join thousands who've discovered the science-backed solution to beautiful skin from within. So implementing some social proof there, basically showing people that not just them, but thousands of people are seeing success with the products. And then use code WELCOME for 10% off. Now the next section of the email is pretty much the meat and the potatoes of the email, and that's going to be the body section. So the body is where you can actually make the case. Every line exists to get them to read the next one, and nobody reads it from top to bottom, by the way. They scan it in a few seconds and then they decide whether they should click the email. So number 1 thing that we want to focus on is we want to write it for scanning. Short lines, space between them, one idea at a time. Again, punchy copy is really important. Number 2 is one message per email. So we want to stick with one topic, right? One takeaway, one action. So for example, if you sell a product that has 5 or 6 natural ingredients, have the whole email just be about one ingredient. Just do a one ingredient spotlight. You don't have to cover all of them all at once, because then it's just kind of information overload. And then number 3, you want to write like a human. You want to cut out that corporate tone and just act like you're writing to a friend. So a few different examples here. So this one says, for the wedding, the dress is already chosen. These are the pieces she's wearing with it. Again, nothing fancy, just very quick, punchy body copy. It just kind of falls in line with people that are attending weddings and they want to look good for it, and they want to get into that persona of someone that is stylish and elegant at weddings. And this copy kind of fits perfectly into that and makes customers or potential customers imagine what they're going to look like when they attend that wedding. Right here, we also have some more body copy that says what we don't add. So no seed oils, no preservatives, no chemicals, no artificial flavors, no long ingredient list. That sounds like a chemistry experiment. Just 4 simple natural ingredients doing their thing. So more like just education and information into what is not included into their products goes a really, really long way. And it's not like a huge, paragraph. It's just a few different, few different short sentences that just says no, 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 no. And, that goes a really long way into people just being able to easily just skim the email and get the whole point of it very quickly. Now, probably my other favorite section about email marketing emails is the call to action button, AKA the CTA. And so there's 3, different elements that you want to focus on with your CTAs. Number 1 is you want to use approachable action verbs. So approachable action verbs like get, find, and try tell the reader that there's a benefit waiting for them. Number 2 is that you want to be concise and clear. So your CTA should be short and to the point. 2 to 5 words max. Otherwise, you're going to risk having the button be way too long. It's going to look cluttered and it's just not going to look very professional on the email itself. Number 3 is that you want to focus on the benefit. So the whole CTA should be benefit driven. Highlight the positive outcomes or advantages your subscribers will get from taking a certain action. Basic CTAs, just like, shop now or shop bestsellers, those are okay, but you really want to just lean into the benefits and, make the CTAs, sound a little bit different, right? Because so many people are used to seeing the same shop now CTA button. Just to show you a few different great CTAs that we've used. So we've had build a custom truffle box, have a hot chocolate, enjoy a chocolate bar, have a candy bar. This one says join our mission. This one says try the skin renewing cream. So basically, depending on the email and actually the body copy and what the email is about, you can customize the CTA to be really congruent with the copy and flow nicely and get people to actually click and go to your website. So when it comes to creating really compelling content on your emails, it's all about the idea versus the angle, right? Because you could have a lot of great ideas with your email marketing, but it's how you approach that idea that makes your email actually stand out. The column on the left in the red is just an idea, and the column on the right is a compelling angle that actually brings that idea to life. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So the idea, again, is just your starting point. The angle is what makes people stop scrolling. So for example, the idea of the product spotlight are running shoes. The angle that you should be focusing on is the hidden reason your knees hurt after every run and the shoe designed to fix it. So if you just did an email about the product spotlight are running shoes, it's a very boring and basic email. It's not really digging into any sort of pain points or make it compelling enough to get people to actually click and read the entire email. And so this one focuses on like your knees hurting after every run and how these shoes are, again, designed to fix it. Number 2 is check out our new candle. So, obviously launching a new candle. The angle that you should focus on there is why most candles give you headaches and how we made a new one that won't. Number 3 is our coffee is back in stock. And then the angle there could be the coffee that sold out in 48 hours just dropped again, set your alarm. So it's kind of inducing some FOMO and some, scarcity that it's gonna, run out soon and that you need to be part of it. So that way you can, get access to the coffee again. And then number 4 is try our vitamin E gummies. Instead of that idea, why not just say you're probably deficient and don't even know it? Here's the fix. And then lastly, new arrival summer dress. Instead of saying that, why not say the dress that's already sold out twice? So instilling some social proof that people are actually buying and loving the product. And then here's your third and final chance. So you can see here, there's a big difference between, this angle and then the idea. You want to look at ways that you can actually make your ideas more compelling and just more intriguing for someone to actually like open and click and actually read through the entire email. That's what's actually going to increase your click-through rates and ultimately your conversion rates and your revenue. So last but not least, and something that is often very overlooked by brands, is actually doing A/B testing on the emails. The main thing that you want to understand here is that you want to test where the volume is and where the upside is. You want to start with your highest traffic flows, such as like your welcome series, your abandoned checkout, your browse abandonments, etc., and your biggest campaign sends. That's where the revenue and obviously the volume lives. On the left here, you can see these low leverage tests. So you want to skip these tests. So CTA button color, red versus blue, isn't going to change your life, right? Very, very minor differences that aren't really going to move the needle. Preview text tweaks aren't really going to make too much of a difference. Subject line on a win-back email with 74 monthly recipients, not going to make any dent. And copywriting in a sunset flow email no one sees. These are really low leverage tests, and I would just skip these completely. Technically, you could run A/B tests here and you can, find winners, but you're going to see zero impact on your bottom line. Now, here's the test that you should be running, and these are high leverage tests. You want to focus all your attention here. Number one is the welcome email number one, headline and offer. Again, the welcome email number one is being delivered every day to so many people. The volume is so high that just a small tweak in the headline can make a massive difference in, the result and the revenue over time. Another thing to test is the time delay on the abandoned checkout email number one. So because so many people might be abandoning, every week, every month, every day, etc., testing 30 minutes versus 1 hour versus 2 hours can be a great test and a great indicator of, for your brand specifically, what are people gravitating towards and what is resulting in the most revenue there. Plain text campaign versus a design campaign. You'd be surprised to see how well plain text emails can actually convert with no design at all, just a simple HTML black and white text. Sometimes that just helps cut through the noise, and obviously it helps humanize the brand. And so that's a really high leverage test that you can do, especially if you're sending an email to a large segment of users. And then you also have the subject lines on high volume sends, like your welcome series, abandoned checkouts, campaigns, etc. On those high volume sends, those subject lines can make a big difference as well. So these are the tests where a 10% lift actually means something. A 10% lift on, your conversion rates on that welcome email can drastically improve the amount of revenue that you're producing from their email channel. So that's how you write email copy that converts. My team and I have written thousands of emails at this point, and we've generated over $100 million in email marketing revenue. What I've shared in this video is just a sliver of what we do. So if you want to know where your own email setup stands, well, there's a link down in the description to book in a free audit call with me. I'll take a deep look into your account and show you exactly where your email is leaking revenue and exactly what I would do to fix it. You can also watch my 3-hour email marketing course for e-commerce brands. It covers literally everything you need to know to scale your email revenue, and the link to that is also down in the description. That's it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.